Anyway, time to get into some me and Alex territory for a minute. Got a couple weeks left until prog metalers Haken,
It's one of those pronunciations is right.
I assume. They're releasing their newest album, Vector, on October 26th, and we now have the second song due out from that album, Puzzle Box. And, yeah, right out of the gate with full force with the full band and everything, then immediately goes, it almost kind of feels like a Leper-style transition, right out of the gate with the full band, then goes into this kind of partially, this bridge that's kind of got some ambient breathing room to it. I mean, it's mainly drums, some vocals, and especially that really strong syncopation on the bass. In a little bit, it kind of feels like Tesseract with the way it just kind of slaps and grooves. And then once the rest of the band kicks back in again with those tremolo guitar riffs, you get that bridge with the off-kilter, instrumental rhythms, the computery bleeps and blips, and those soaring high vocals, especially into that more almost kind of metalcore-ish grooving bridge, leaving room for a sparse synth break, and then goes even harder into hard, just chugging metal riffage in there. It's like, this one definitely brings the prog and the metal in, equal proportions. Also, the music video is pretty hilarious, too. It's just sepia tone footage of the guys in the band trying to solve, a puzzle box, and I probably should have looked up what kind of box it was before I recorded this. Oh, well, I'm sure I'll find out later.
Yeah, this is some damn fine prog metal. I can do some polyrhythmic dancing too. It's got those funky time signature bars. And it's got some real good heavy riffs to it as well. I am eagerly awaiting this new album later in the month.
Indeed. And looking forward to beyond that into the next month. We got a bit of catching up to do because there were 2 Tenacious D tracks in the past couple weeks, and we missed one last week. My bad. So yeah, with Post-Apocalypto coming out November 2nd, we now have episodes 2 and 3 of their web series. And how appropriate that this is going on, especially with not only that new 12-ounce mouse special, but the announcement that we're apparently getting a new season in 2020. Wild times we're living in. So yeah, let's talk about the first one of these. The track is called Making Love. And if you're wondering what the context for the song is, basically you have Jack and Kyle, riding around the desert in one of those ATV sidecar things, coming across a pool of fresh water that tastes like animal shit, and then they encounter a clan of women survivors that offer them actual water, food, and shelter. Then after, taking a moment to rest, the two of them wake up to discover that apparently the women are naked and jumping all up on their bones.
Yeah.
And they draw this out. It's explicit. There are boobs and vaginas and penises all drawn and illustrated out there. And wow, I can't believe they actually got allowed to post this to YouTube. Although there was probably an age filter on it or something.
Trent, you want TLDR version? They want some snoo.
Pretty much. And yes, the actual song itself is pretty much what you would expect. It's an ironically delicate acoustic love ballad with lyrics all about the hardcore fucking, some shit about sucking fingers, ears, toes, getting your ass eaten out by the women, the usual shit. Then the women disappear, they get led to a cave where they find a bunch of sports equipment, weapons, and other man junk, and it turns out the women are actually murderers of men, because, they're the ones that probably, launched the nukes in the first place and just ruined society and everything. And it turns out the sex was really just a way of insemination so they could repopulate the earth and all that shit and raise them in their image. And then they unleash this creature called the Crack-a-Lack-a-Ding-Dong, which is basically just a really phallic-looking octopus thing. Then they get rescued by a mutant dog thing with 3 heads called Hope. They escape into the tunnel where the monster came from, and then come back out to the puddle where, they were first at the beginning of the episode. And then drive off into the fucking sunset or whatever. But not before we get the revelation that one of the women is pregnant with Jack's child. What a twist.
Yeah, so, it's snoo. Only with H.P. Lovecraft elements, such as a dick-shaped kraken and a Cerberus. How lovely. And, it's a song about sex. What else can I say about it? It's a song about sex.
Personally speaking, I think I prefer the other Tenacious D sex jam. We know the one. And then we have episode 3 with the song titled Take Us Into Space. The two are driving down the road, again, engaging in a loving rendition of I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys.
Thank you.
Got that one right. They end up approaching a guy in a spacesuit who threatens them violently. Turns out this guy is a scientist from MIT, and he points them in the direction of their ship slash space station where all the super smart and super cool popular people are hanging out. They were able to escape the worst parts of the apocalypse, I guess. And apparently the ship's guest includes among them Richard Branson and, quote, the guy, what's his name? The guy from Tesla. What was it? Lon Ranch? Yeah, Elon Musk. That's the guy.
Yeah.
And then at this point we get the song, which, this one is, again, really... I wonder if all these songs are going to be acoustic because, I guess the apocalypse destroyed all the electronic shit. But, yeah, this one is actually more of a folksy kind of track. It's basically a send-off to all the beauty of the planet Earth. Them being all excited that they're going to get to party with Elon Musk in space. And the song is basically just Jack and Kyle trying to convince the scientists to let them on the station. And eventually he's impressed enough that he lets Jack on, but not Kyle. And Jack's, no, dude, it's cool. I'm totally going to come back for you. I'm going to learn their secrets on the ship and then use that to get you up on here. And then, once Jack gets on the ship, he's having a raging old fun time with everyone. Just, doing cool things and meeting cool people. He even gets laid with the woman on the ship who, it turns out to be Grimes, because Elon Musk walks in on the two of them doing it. And he is very, very mad. He even summons security to try and kill Jack, but the moment gets interrupted by space pirates. And when I say space pirates, I mean Johnny Depp in character as Jack Sparrow. Because, this... with 12 Ounce Mouse, I'm pretty sure this came out at exactly the right time. Could you imagine if this had actual animation to it?
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Anyway, thankfully, Jack manages to find his way back down to Earth right before Kyle can commit suicide and convince him not to. And he even brought back a nice little gift of honey-glazed space rack of ribs. And then, they go back off into the cart thing.
So, do you think Jack asked Elon Musk about that little squabble he had with Edward Snowden about your name?
Don't remind me.
Okay, Elon, you're not welcome in our club, okay? Get your crap together with your Tesla stock first. Then you can come into our club.
You are too much of a dork for the anime nerds. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, pretty much that. And, pretty good song. Nice little bit of more of an upbeat song. Of course, it goes back full circle with some sex talk in the song. And, I'm liking this whole project that they got. Now we gotta wait for the next part to drop.
Episode 4. Episode 4 is this Monday. Yeah, I think they should have all the episodes out before the album comes out. Or I might think there might be one episode after. I'll have to chart that out. But anyway, let's move on to the next one here. And unfortunately, this is a song where I feel betrayed. I sincerely do. So apparently, as it turns out, Venom made quite a bit of money on its opening weekend.
Yep.
Why?
It is number one.
People like crap.
Yes, they do. And they can't recognize that the only good depiction of Venom was in the movie that they all reject as crap, which is actually not the case. Spider-Man 3 is not that bad. I'm going to keep stressing that until the end of time, until you all accept that I'm right. Anyway, But the portrayal here is not to do with the movie itself necessarily, but really more one of the soundtrack contributions. And no, I'm not talking about Eminem. We've already talked about Eminem enough this year.
Yeah.
No, it appears the lads in Run the Jewels had a soundtrack contribution that they finally released streaming to the internet. It's called Let's Go, the Royal We. And, I feel betrayed. Why would they put a good song in a soundtrack to a crap movie? Okay. Like, last time you did, soundtrack contribution was Baby Driver, and that movie was good. Why would you do this?
Okay.
I mean, okay, I technically get why. Apparently, according to LP, this was something that was scrapped from working on music for a Blade Runner 2049 trailer.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. And that kind of feels perfect. As, this was scrapped from, that movie, which was pretty damn good, and reworked into, well, I'm just going to be nice and say a movie made of leftovers. Because that's what Venom is, a movie made of leftover ideas. Because you don't have Spider-Man in it. Do you get it?
Like a turd in the wind.
Yeah.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, boy.
But yeah, if you're familiar with some RTJ, you could probably figure out what to expect. There's this super buzzy electronic beat that kind of sounds like a pseudo guitar riff. The drum percussion thing is pretty sparse here, especially the chorus, where it's just empty of any flows or bars, and it's just instrumental shit, especially with like the police sirens and whatnot. I will say, Killer Mike's flow on this sounds almost exactly like Legend Has It. Like, I was just waiting for him to go, and the crowd goes, DJ. Like, you're just expecting that in your mind almost. And, I mean, it's not bad or anything. He's got some, pretty solid fire bars in there. And, L himself gets in that good shit. But, is this the first taste of RTJ4? Because they've been talking about RTJ4 lately, and I'm curious.
I wouldn't think so. I'm just going to be kind of bold and say this might just be a one-off. I'm not expecting this to be part of RTJ4, but, anything can happen, right?
I suppose stranger things have happened.
Yeah, they have, and oh boy, I do like the track. Just that hearing that it's from this movie and hearing that this would have been used as a spot on Blade Runner 2049, which damn, I wish that could happen instead of it being put on this movie. That was number one, 2 weeks in a row. Because y'all apparently think, because I hear somebody saying because y'all apparently like super movies from 2003 apparently. But yeah, that's what to say. This song is good. Like you should send the RTJ stuff and that shit bangs.
Well, let's look on the bright side. At least the new Halloween movie's coming out this weekend, so Venom probably won't make week number 3.
Well, we're hoping, at least. We gotta give Jimmy Lee Curtis some love, and not give any heat to that quote-unquote controversy, because, movies in real life are exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean...
Honestly, I'm expecting somebody at the Fox's editorial staff to say, was Michael Myers really the good guy all along? He didn't have a gun.
But anyway, moving on from that to what is unfortunately the last song we have to talk about this week. So, we're just kind of bracing here at this point. Bracing for impact. That impact being Weezer's next studio project, the Black Album, which they said was going to come out May of this year, but mercifully skipped us. And it's now been pretty much about a year since Pacific Daydream came out, so I guess it's about time for them to start kicking up some activity. So, we finally have the first proper song from the now properly announced Black Album, Can't Knock the Hustle, and,
what the hell?
I mean, it's technically better than anything off of Pacific Daydream. I mean, at least it's got, a bass line with some groove to it. It's at least slightly less Beach Boys sounding than everything off their past 2 albums. Oh, and the production is way better too. The drums don't sound like the snare hits with a fucking plodding thud. I mean, I do get it takes some obvious things to task, like the corny lyrics, leave a 5-star review and I'll leave you one too. And the chorus, like, ends on the line, hasta luego, with fucking, like, mariachi trumpets playing, and it's like, really? Really, Rivers? Why would you do this?
You know...
It's like, it's bad enough when Pat Monahan thought this was a good idea to do on that one fucking Train song.
Oh, yeah, I was going to mention that.
Jeez. But now you're doing it here, too. I mean, you know, I will give you a tiny bit of credit. At least the ending of the music video is funny, where it's just like two people in a fucking taxi getting driven by the dick from Fall Out Boy. Whole bunch of shit goes wrong, and then he just screams at him, "Get the fuck out of my car!" But, like, other than that, the song is just, like, slight improvement.
Yeah.
That's all I can really say.
I mean, we've been dreading this day for a while. The Black Album is confirmed to be happening. And this track, well, it's a weird cross with elements from Justin Timberlake and mid-2000s adult contemporary pop brought into it. I never want to hear Rivers Cuomo swear in a song ever again, because that's just too weird for me. But I mean, it doesn't have Imagine Dragons syndrome, and it actually has a few strong points to it. So, you know, it's fine, I guess. It gets a couple points from me, so, you know, it's not, you know, completely terrible. I won't be, you know, dismissing it as garbage. I guess that's good.
Again, we're just kind of sitting here and waiting to see what's gonna go wrong. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah. Although I don't think we're going to be getting Ubate 2. Just call it a hunch.
Sadly, but a guy can dream, can't he? So yeah, we closed the. Man, I'm gonna miss the Fire Festival, man.
You know,
I hope something like it comes back soon, and, you know, we get, like, Fire Festival Chapter 2, or the spiritual successor of it.
You know,
you know, it might come in the way of, like, a reboot of sorts. Let's reboot the Fire Festival as a spiritual successor on an anniversary under a different name.
You know,
and what's this I hear? I think we might actually have it. Okay, now you can go. Can I vamp for once on this podcast?
Fine,
build some drama?
Fine. I'm just going to say, we really should compile all this Fire Festival stuff we talked about. This has been amazing for riff material. Like, we need to just compile everything into one big thing. This is something that's going to last a long time.
Huh, there's an idea. So, yeah, anyway, let's, you know, awkwardly vamp into this next topic here. I mean, after all, who doesn't like reboots? We're in the age where fucking everything is getting rebooted in every which way. Movies, television, video games, shit. And, it turns out we know what our next big reboot's gonna be. We're getting another Woodstock.
If I may interject for just a moment, I want to make something, you know, I just want to make something very clear. This is actually the second kind of quote-unquote reboot of Woodstock, because for the past little while anyway, there has been a Woodstock festival in Poland, a completely free festival where they have had hundreds of thousands of people show up every year, and it's, you know, a very civil, fun festival. Unfortunately, the name got taken away because of some promoter shenanigans, but apparently the name will live on in a different fashion.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, who cares? That's basically like, you know, being a fan of Turkish Star Wars.
Hey, there is good riff material from that, too.
He punches the rock. But anyway, so as we all know, we had original Woodstock in 1969. You know, classic, the rock music of that era, Jimi Hendrix, The Who, Grateful Dead, all that good stuff. But apparently, like, as far as an actual logistical thing with the fans and shit, it was a disaster. And, you know, it just kind of fucked up, like, you know, the infrastructure of everything around it. Then, of course, the 25th anniversary came around with a whole bunch of alternative rock bands in 94, which apparently went okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was Woodstock 99.
Thanks, Fred
New metal
Durst.
bands.
Woodstock 99. Oh boy. It's the how do we say this? It was like the Van Halen 3 of music festivals. But it's been 20 years since then, and on the 50th anniversary, apparently they are attempting a Woodstock yet again. Apparently it's being planned for August 16th to the 18th of next year. It's going to return to the site of the original festival, the Bethel Woods Center for the Arts, and apparently Live Nation is involved, which, on the one hand means there might be some more proper organization and it won't be as much of a hellscape, like on the ground level. On the other hand, though, yeah, Live Nation.
Yeah. I'm expecting a lot of corporate ass blasting.
Right down to really questionable ticket selling methods. I mean, after all, your buddies in Ticketmaster are in some hot water over that, last I heard.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of... Yeah, it's going to be branded. This is going to be like the RoboCop version of Woodstock. Woodstock! I'd buy that for $1.
Wait, are we talking the good RoboCop, the bad sequels, or the bad remake?
What bad remake? Oh, you mean Ghost in the Shell?
No, the other one.
We don't talk about that movie.
Okay, then.
I saw it for free, and I still think I paid too much. But we'll just see how that whole thing ends up shaping out. So,